for their Villa. Whereas FaZe, we have seen them with some recent success and certainly some recent games on this map.
It makes me think, have they been like specifically scrimming it? Is this something they've got up their sleeve?
That's the danger, isn't it? That's what, whenever you see a team that hasn't played a map for a while start playing a map, you're like, what's going on here? Are we hiding something from somewhere else? Unlikely. We're at the start of a brand new stage. No one's hiding anything. Or has a team been putting in the rich time in secret and are now going to start to come out and show us how they want to play this map?
Well, I mean, best of luck to them, I guess. FaZe Clan have come here quite a few times. I mean, I can check these statistics right now. FaZe Clan have come to Villa 5 times with a 60% win rate, so they've won it 3 times. In fact, both the times that FaZe have lost on this map in the last few months have been to Ninjas in Pajamas. So that seems to be their Achilles heel is NIP, and luckily for them, they're not playing against NIP today, so don't need to worry too much about that. I would assume that as a direct result, they're going to come in with a nice swelled feeling of confidence, but then that's where we loop back round to the, do MIBR have something planned? Have they been scrimming? I mean, think back to the interview that we did with Julio after the first game that we had. And he said, we knew in SI and we knew in stage 1 that one of our big problems was so we have specifically worked on and that turned out to be something they did incredibly well today. So it could be a similar story. We know that Villa is one of our weaker maps, so we've specifically worked on it.
Kind of interesting to see Ash being picked. Something that Chubbs kind of alluded to in the previous interview, and it hasn't really been anything worth talking about just yet because Ash hasn't been played all tonight. Ash has been nerfed. You will notice that there are 2 breaching rounds now instead of 3. And the R4C has received some recoil pattern adjustments as well to make it a little bit more difficult to deal with. The Rap's obviously feeling like it's something that's still worth bringing. Obviously, in the case when Zofia is a thing, is something worth considering why that is the case, why Raps isn't just opting for Zofia, who on paper now could be seen as better Ash, but Flores being used to take control of these main stairs. Again, another really key example of just how important those drones can be.
I just want to note as well, you mentioned Raps is bringing Ash. He is bringing her with the G36C, which a lot of people have decided to switch on over to after the R4C nerf. So, likes that gun? A lot of people do. I think it in the past has gotten a bit of a bad rap because it's been overshadowed by the R4C, but it is in and of itself a great gun. MIBR making their way in through Heart with the Monty, just handing over the diffuser. In fact, it's been left where it is for now. They know they need to get rid of Cyber on the main stairs, and they probably don't want to lose the diffuser in a risky position.
Raps is going to try and push up as well. You see Toxic Babe canisters come on through. Not an easy situation, really, for MIBR to try and deal with. Cyber going to find the opening frag over onto Fowls, as despite losing the shield relatively early on, he's been allowed to remain and he can just sit and play in that awkward main stairs spot, despite not having the most cover to do so.
Another early death for the Flores, similarly to what we saw in that last game that we had, where in round number 1, Flores didn't last very long. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see him be used a bit more throughout the course of this game, maybe. Other than that, everybody else is still standing, and tons of time has gone, so players have done well to survive out this long. You are seeing some vertical pressure come down from below. There's a nice trade continuing on.
FaZe with a significant upper hand now as Cyber quad kill. Where have we seen this before? Eventually we'll be getting taken down there by Reduct. I'll throw us all back to a game where Cyber opened up a game on Villa with an ace, and it was a very short affair indeed. We could be seeing flickers and signs of that being the case here tonight.
One of the things that really hurt MIBR in that round was the fact that they didn't commit to the clear on Cyber on the main stairs. You saw the pressure coming onto him very early on in the round, but the thing that ended up bringing down the Monty at the very end was the fact that the impact forced him backwards and Cyber could just come up from the main stairs to secure that kill. And yet, while Reduct got a couple of kills from behind straight after that, there was barely any time in order to capitalize on that. So there were still defenders alive at the point at which the round ended and Reduct got brought down himself. So, that was a disappointing one there for MIBR, and I think that not clearing main stairs is a bit of a rookie error. It's not something that was overlooked by them because we saw that they paid attention to it at the start, but it's something that they decided to kind of let go of as the round went on. And I'm hoping that in future rounds, when they return to AVG, they won't do that because it's a very key part of the map. But they won't need to worry about it in this round because FaZe Clan have come up to Trophy and Statuary, which is the very typical secondary site. Flores been brought back, so maybe we'll see Falls survive a little bit longer in this one, maybe. I also want to note as well, Boo Boo is not a new player.
No, it's certainly something worth
Boo Boo
bringing
is
up.
bullet.
Yeah, Boo Boo is going to be Bodega, who is, of course, the coach of MIBR. Felipox,
Oh, my bad.
unable to be in attendance for this game. For whatever reason, we haven't got any confirmation on that. All we know is that Boo Boo is going to be Bodega. So, someone that can talk the talk, let's see if he is able to walk the walk. Now, we didn't know this going into this game, so I do apologize, but it really kind of changes the way that we have to view this matchup, in that we know MIBR aren't going to be firing on all cylinders here tonight. They are going to be playing with a coach. They are going to be playing with a substitute, essentially. So it is going to make things a little bit more difficult, especially when you factor in the fact that they're going up against FaZe, and you double down and say, this is Villa, a map that FaZe are known to be quite good at. It really does start to pose a few more questions, and you know what, maybe answer a few more as well. If MIBR knew that they were going to be going up with a substitute, maybe that's one of the reasons why we've ended up on a Villa, because they knew that it was going to be a tough ask anyway. Obviously, time will tell, and we'll see if they have new ideas. Certainly the Flores, for the time being, has been ticking a few boxes here for MIBR, and we've seen it have quite a reasonable impact.
Bear in mind as well, it does force a role swap within the team. Falls is usually found on the hard support. That's going to be taken by Bodega for now. Cyber bringing down Raps. Ash taken straight off the board. Once again, the opening frag being afforded over to FaZe Clan.
Soul's going to try and find some success as well, as Lukid will fall, but he is going to be downed in the process. Reduct knows that that is the case and could get caught out thirsting after the kill. Instead, just going to try and hold on to the angle, but he's going to be broadcasting his position to any defenders that could be lying in wait. Val's going to try and see if there's any information that he can gather. Of course, these Flores drones, not only for blowing stuff up, they're also a great source of information. The fact that you get 4 of them means that you've just got a bit of an extra chance. Info for the time being, though, isn't going to help matters. The Cyber lean in to that power position, start to shut things down. Last couple of kills coming in very quickly there for FaZe.
That was very quickly ended, and we did go on quite a lot in that round about how these role swaps within MIBR are going to affect them, how working with a coach instead of one of your primary players also going to affect them. But the end of that round, you can kind of tell why that is. And that's not to take the credit away from FaZe Clan. They absolutely earned it. It's more that it stacks up, and it means that you can end up with people going down where they shouldn't, slightly less. It's almost like a, you know, for someone like Falls, for example, he usually plays on a lot of their support roles. He's taken on the Flores here, so he's not playing hard support. Now, he knows how to play that, but it might not be as muscle memory or deeply ingrained in him in the same way that well-synergized teams are. So you have to consider that even the tiniest differences regarding subs and things like that and role swaps can have an effect. But, I mean, I really don't want to take away the credit from FaZe Clan. They've played this very well so far. We know that Villa is a map that is way more in their own favor. It's just something to bear in mind. So FaZe Clan are going to be going to their third site of Kitchen. And, I mean, look at all the operators that they've bought. Kitchen is usually typical to see something like a Pulse. You want to be putting pressure from below to the floor above you. But this time it's like, yo, we're going to steal your information. We're going to keep tabs on you. It's basically the government. So they're trying to slow down MIBR as much as possible, ensure that they have every piece of info on them to make it harder and harder for them to push.
As if MIBR needed anything that was going to make things more difficult for them as well. Not coming away with all too much in the opening 2 rounds. Maybe a change of site again could be something to give them a little bit of an edge. Top 4 roam clear so far, going quite successfully. Redux on the Jackal, able to ping out any players. Currently going to be Inox tracking an Echo. As we anticipate, the Echo is going to be playing on the floor below. Oh no, rotating on up. In fact, it's Cyber at the moment that's being caught out inside of the old Trackle. He will go for the repeat. Gets himself back up these astronomy stairs and can just look to challenge in now through Bathroom into Cubby and just see if there's anything that he can gain. Playing quite confidently, but conscious of the fact he could be very easily taken out there. Despite a lot of time being wasted, more than happy to rotate back down onto the site and to not take any initial gunfights.
So far, no deaths. Lucid looking down from above, but also wanting to make sure that none of those defenders are up there with him. The answer to that right now is no, and Rax is also up there, so they can watch each other's backs. They both join in with opening up the floor and trying to shoot in. There's some gunfire coming in onto Rax. He takes some damage for it, but can't yet find the aggressor.
Eventually, we will be able to search out souls there, finding that vertical kill. Giving somewhat of an advantage toward MIBR here. Now it's really going to be on the players of FaZe to fight back and to try to vertically challenge onto the attackers upstairs. Cyber does something to put some shots on in. A yellow ping alerts him to the push that is likely to happen. Yeah, caught out unfortunately there for him in a flash as Dega going to look to try and push on in and get that plant down, but he will be unable to do so. A C4 sails in from Astro, as do a good number of kills. Lucid is able to reply along with fouls. Cameraman has rotated all the way upstairs and can now look to try and drop on in and be a real pain in the backside, and will be just exactly that. Finding that final frag, assisting his teammate Astro there as FaZe continue their flawless streak.
Another instance of very little clear being done by MIBR, and once again, it is not for the fact that they didn't try. They were actually pretty effective in being able to open up as much of the floor as possible, but it seemed every time there was gunfire going through that floor, it was from the ground up, and the member of MIBR who was feeling it couldn't really find a victim in return. So eventually you have to push down. Eventually you've got to do something. You haven't opened a ton of space for yourself. And they weren't all together either, you know? Like, one guy goes in, tries to plant. There's not a ton of attackers there for support to hold on to crossfires, to hold on to trades or anything like that. And it just means that you can kind of be picked off one by one. It's a difficult situation. It's frustrating. It's annoying. But the answer to it is you need to be more decisive and definitive with the kills that you're getting in the lead up to that.
It's kind of strange, right? Because we saw MIBR get the opener there. They just weren't able to really capitalize when it came down to pushing onto the site. And despite being so close to the plank going down, 1C4 was all it would take. Back up to Aviator and Games Room we go. Previously, when we saw this site, we did see Cyber pressured quite heavily on that main stairs area. we also had a bit of a change in the attacking lineup. Instead of the Monty, Bodega has opted to bring Hibana. Maybe this speaks to a slightly different approach, which I would be kind of surprised at, because we saw Fowls be very successful using Flores' drone to remove the shield at the top of main. But for the time being, players look to be quite focused toward the master bedroom side.
You know, it's nice to see clears that come from this direction, and I think that if MIBR were to go back for the kind of direction of clear that they went for before and didn't get the main stairs, like they had that issue before, then that would hurt them a lot more. But if they're going to be coming in from the north side of the map, they don't need to worry about that as much. Now, they do still have these positions over on the veranda, as it's officially called, the study balcony. And you can tell that they're looking to push in through study without wraps. I guess. I don't think he was over there, but Cameraman does get the first kill. Again, I think this is the third time now that MIBR have been on the losing end of an opening engagement.
Raps just didn't fancy it, did he? He was like, you know what? It's looking a bit tough moving on in there, and instead is going to be manning the drones for the round. You can see him flicking through all the different points of view. Reduct likely going to come into an engagement here, as Bullet is going to be inside of Astronomy, but there's the player in Trophy. Almost a perfect bait and switch, and well, for all intents and purposes, it basically is. Cameraman picks up his second kill. Oh, 5 versus 2, and you really start to see MIBR struggling. All left now in the hands of Bodega. He is going to be left to try and push on in. 1 versus 5. Not a position that any player wants to be. And at least, well, especially not a position that a coach really wants to be in. Could choose to take a minute, do the coach thing, have a conversation as a team, and it looks as though that is what these guys are going to try and do. MIBR need to come up with something here, Gio, because this is very quickly becoming a FaZe game.
Yeah, look, if your coach is playing for you, then every moment can be a tactical timeout, if you really think about it. But it's true. It's probably the right decision for Bodega to just kind of sit behind this wall. No one from FaZe is going to go out and chase him.
I love how safe he got himself, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's back. He's back in the game. Let's ace it. Ace clutch Bodega. Let's go. I don't think it's going to happen.
No,
yeah, maybe not.
It's not gonna happen.
you know, for me, when we were first talking about the idea of them doing a master side clear, I was hoping actually there were going to be quite a lot of them. It was like a split push. So you had 3 coming in from the top half, 2 coming in from study, which in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad idea. But I think the fact that when one person gets picked off, the team seems to go into this kind of flurry. And they're still having the problem with main stairs. Luke had got picked off at the bottom of main stairs. They knew Cyber was on the stairs. No one had killed him. You can't just walk out into the bottom of main stairs, into the little lobby area, if you know someone is there. It's entirely unsurprising that he got killed. And part of me wonders if all 5 of them even had gone up through Master together, maybe there would be more of a protective force around them that would allow them to actually break through the top floor with more success. That's not necessarily a strategy that I would want to see any and every team play, because oftentimes if you do the one-dimensional push, it doesn't always work out. But I think being splintered on their multi-dimensional pushes is hurting MIBR potentially more than they would be hurt if they all went in together.
From the outside looking in, it looks as though MIBR are trying to play the same way they play when Felipox is with them. And that isn't something that is going to be as achievable, regardless of who the substitute is. It's no slight onto Bodega. It's just you're dealing with a team that has experience playing together and have been through a major tournament and done really well. To then remove a piece of that puzzle, it is going to affect and it is going to hurt in a way. And they are going to have to go not quite back to basics, but back to almost a pseudo buddy system where they're not able to necessarily always achieve things out there on their own, and they need to try and play for those trades a little bit more effectively. as it is something that is seemingly hurting them. And going down multiple rounds never really helped either. I think they've probably had the toughest start they could have done, attacking onto Villa. Known as a map that is favoured by the defence, especially a team like FaZe and what they're able to bring to this map. It really does start to create quite a recipe.
I mean, at least all 5 members of MIBR are still alive.
Positives, Gio.
You gotta bring them. It will be funny though, you know, if this does end up being a very dominant game to FaZe Clan, it means that both the games that we had today, where we would have expected that to be the case, or we would have expected it to be the closest and the most competitive, would have actually ended up the least so. Which is very curious, I find. And if in MIBR's case, it can be attributed so much to... It was Raps again! Okay. In MIBR's case, if it can be attributed so much to the role change and the sub and the issue with Philippox being out of it, it's not necessarily something that you can rely on getting better throughout the course of the stage. It will somewhat, but will it enough?
Raps really struggling on entry. Redux will respond as Souls gets chunked down as well, but we're going to see the kill go in favor of FaZe. It's going to be Astro to step up to that plate. Cyber going to be playing Ella shotgun again, as he typically does on this site. Such a dangerous player to go up against with so much firepower. With an advantage and time on their side. FaZe are looking pretty good here. Vega's still to make entry into Master, and it feels like it's going to be a dangerous place to get yourself embroiled into at this point. Lines of sight being watched as well as Toxic Babe Gas comes through. Surely that gives the indication, and Redux takes it and runs with it. Finds the kill over onto Souls. Bullet tries to wiggle peek on through, but is unable to do so. But Dega tries to get the plant down. It's a real mess, but it's going to be a mess that MIBR capitalize on. Final kill going in their favor. Desperately trying to get that plant down and covered by Lukid.
Hey man, they heard me. I will say, Lukid, just in and of himself, is an incredible player, and absolutely the kind of player who you would expect to pull out a play like that. I mean, it was him actually back in stage 1 who ended up having to take medical leave, I suppose, for a couple of play days. And I mean, it looked just fantastic when he came back. You would never have known that he had taken some time off. So it's really nice to see him pulling through for the team and actually being able to clutch a round through. They needed it, and I would imagine if they can take this next round, a 2-4 split is actually not too bad. Suddenly they find themselves in a position that's not one to be too phased about. FaZe, get it?
Get it?
Get it?
You're entirely right, Gio. 2-4 split on the attack on Villa is very favourable. There is a chance and an opportunity for them to start picking up rounds and really making something happen. And for FaZe, it does start to put a little bit of that pressure back onto them as well. It is going to take players stepping up. Redux currently 6 frags, really leading the way. We have Fouls, Raps, and Bodega on 2 kills between them all. Sure, we're maybe not looking toward Bodega for the world's amount of kills, but certainly the other two, especially with Raps being your entry, kind of want to get a little bit more out of him than that, and still kind of weird to see him sticking that Ash pick.
I mean, to be fair, he's still playing entry. He's just entry death.
He's just entering badly. This time it was Luka that entered badly.
Yeah. It is frustrating that this is just a pattern now. MIBR, like, they're good enough to be getting the opening kills and they're not getting them. They can get the second from opening kill, and that is a trade onto Cameraman who secured the first. That's a nice kill from Redux too, springing round to get Cyber. So MIBR have got themselves in the man advantage, and this is nice. This is what they've needed. It's something they've struggled to acquire for themselves throughout the course of this game so far. And with one of them as well being the Vigil, that could have been a really pesky roamer, a really difficult defender to go against if he was still up and alive. Basically means as far as roam goes, Bullet's sort of the only one out there. And I would imagine that those 3 remaining players of FaZe Clan are actually more interested in being together than they are in being off on a split roam.
Especially when Bullet's the one that still has a C4 in his pocket. He's going to want to try and get the most out of that. But will likely make his way downstairs to do so. But that means that all the time in the world and all the space has been given over toward MIBR for them to start opening up this floor, which they can do so, seeing as they brought 9 breaching charges. Doesn't matter that they lost Lukid straight away. They've got plenty of soft destruction to try and open up all of this floor. They're going to be able to do so. Still, a minute does remain. The C4 is going to swing through from Bullet and is not going to land. Unfortunate stuff for him. Vega has the diffuser and has a plan. He knows he needs to try and get that diffuser down. There is a man count advantage currently for MIBR.
Oh my God.
Have they done all of their fact-finding? I think the answer is probably going to be no. Astro gets an all-important kill, but Fowls is there to instantly level things back up. Still an advantage here for MIBR. Bullet left watching onto those astronomy stairs. Could see an engagement with Reduct pending on how Reduct wants to try and play this. Souls is going to be alive, but can he get into a position to use that Echo drone or not? It is not even going to come to it. Raps and Fowls, they pick up the final 2 kills. And all of a sudden, after that little bit of a chat, MIBR have gotten their stuff together. And they're going to finish that at a 2-4 split, which is a world away from the way that I thought it was going to go, Gio.
What was really key in that round was, I mean, the positioning of Astro in Laundry, super risky. And the reason that I was, you know, emoting was the fact that you had a player directly above him who hadn't seen him. The hatch was open, the floor was open, and they still didn't know. Now, what was really key there is even though Astro jumped round and got the kill on Bodega, it doesn't even really matter that much that Astro got traded. I mean, eventually it did. But this play particularly was the fact that Bodega threw the Selma before Astro got the kill. So Astro only swung round on him when Bodega moved to throw the Selma. And what that meant was that the laundry wall got opened regardless. And because there were 2 players from MIBR there, and the trade went in the favor of MIBR, so ensuring that Astro was taken off, you got what you wanted. You wanted the laundry wall to be open and you pick up the diffuser, which is right by your feet. So it was a really nice attempt from Astro, and that could have gone horribly for MIBR. But it didn't, and I think if Astro had preemptively jumped out on Bodega, maybe he would have died in the trade, but MIBR never would have gotten the laundry wall open, and that was what is the important thing if you want to be pushing through from that area.
It's like when you get a pepper from Ops and it's got a small pepper inside of the big pepper and you're like, I've got pepper for free.
What? Okay, firstly, I don't eat pepper, so I don't buy pepper from the shops. But what do you mean a small pepper inside a big pepper?
Oh, if you've never had a small pepper inside your big pepper, you never lived.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how to take that, Ollie. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. Basically, you get something that you're not bargaining for, you get something that you weren't expecting, and it worked out exceptionally well. And it's one of those things that it's only that you can look back after the fact and go, you know what, that played out there for the best. And for all intents and purposes, Bodega is doing a great job at filling that role of just being the diffuser carrier, being that hard breacher when required. Now on defense, he's going to be playing onto the Wamai, trying to get those magnets out. There's maybe a question over putting him on to an operator whose gadget generates over time, but that remains to be seen. It's currently, aggression is going to be being dished out inside of Astronomy. Reduct, you could see his face on the player cam there. He looked like he was a little bit exasperated at falling there, but he's already taken out 2 players, Cyber and Bullet.
I love the fact that FaZe Clan as well. They've brought an operator lineup that's deliberately designed to be as disruptive as possible, and yet they're the ones who are currently at the man disadvantage, right? They haven't been able to disrupt MIBR as much as they were looking to do. Well, here's one of those disruptive pieces of utility right now with the E1D. No one's going to be caught out in it, and no deaths to have occurred. So still everyone remains standing. Soul's looking to push in. There is another player on the other side of this window. Out goes the C4, but it got oh, it didn't get shot, in fact, but it doesn't actually cause the kill.
FaZe, they might have the Lion, they might have the ability to scan, but I don't feel like this is one of those rounds that knowing where your opponent is going to do you any favours. We've got Souls, who obviously has the blowtorch and 2 nades, but realistically, what are they going to be able to get open? Or is it going to be a single doorway push? Dega laid prone. You can see him, he's already barking like a war cry into the player cam at the bottom. Biding his time. No, we got up at the wrong
the timing!
moment. Such bad siege timing there from Bodega. It's something we all hate to see. Lukid, can you pick the pieces up inside of this round? Grabs one over onto cameraman. Soul's now looking to push down 90. Lukid goes huge, picks himself up a second. All you have to do, Fowls, is stay alive. There's 10 seconds left, goes for the swing, but will be taken down by the pistol. Wraps instead with the one to pick up the pieces, as it was Fowls that died a little bit previously. The shotgun really booting him across to the other side of Games Room there. MIBR have their fortunes changed.
I mean, FaZe Clan just came out for blood in that one, because as soon as the diffuser got dropped really early on in the round, it was like something switched in their heads where they were like, this is personal. And they just jumped straight in, going for all the gunfights rather than necessarily trying to play it all careful and slow and whatever. And I mean, what else are you going to expect from a team like FaZe Clan, right? That is their thing. It's their trademark. Didn't work out for them, though, in that round. They still maintain the lead, but they won't for very long if MIBR pull out more rounds like the ones that they just did. And honestly, if the timing thing with Bodega hadn't have happened, he might have been able to get a kill there. I don't think he would have been able to get both. He would have almost definitely been traded out.
The thing is, no one expects a player lying on a half landing. It's one of the freest kills you can get, because it's like a frost map. No one expects him to be there. No one wants him to be there. You die to it, and you go, why was he there? He was in a great position. It was just so unfortunate that he bottled it at the last second or whatever it was that led him to get up out of that prone position. Ultimately, it didn't matter. Lukid was still able to get the job done, and the information that it provided was, of course, enough to come up with a couple of kills. MIBR are looking much better since they got onto the defense, which I'm kind of glad at, honestly, because the way that they started this game, it wasn't great. But as it's gone on and as it's developed, they picked up a couple of rounds in attack. Now they've started to pick up rounds on the defense. They picked up their first round. If they can make it 2 here, you could really start to see FaZe pushed. And I think that would maybe draw out a different FaZe Clan, because at the moment they've had a lot of things going their way.
Yeah, MIBR are not going to be liquided today.
Are we going to make that a thing?
Until Team Liquid redeem themselves, yes.
It's a real shame that NIP didn't play Blitz, because we could have said get blitzed. You know, like you'd blitz Liquid. You with me?
Sure. I don't think that's as good as get liquided. I think get liquided is way more catchy.
What about get blended? Like Liquid.
Sure, I mean, Astro got blended. Get it? Because he just died?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that. We maybe need some work on that one.
I tried. I can't segue.
We'll keep with Liquided. It's kind of fun to say as well.
Okay. Well, MIBR, the whole point is they're not quite going to have a fate that Team Liquid had earlier on today, which was a bit miserable. Lukid might, though. Cameraman catching him out from behind, getting revenge for his fallen teammate. It's in a 4 versus 4. Halfway through the round as well. Raps is really low on health. There was no way he was going to be able to get away from that nade, let's be real. FaZe Clan looking to push in aggressively still. Don't forget, of course, that the site is over on Trophy and Statuary. So with Cameraman being all the way over at main stairs, he's got quite a commute to go before he's over there. But good job. A couple of his teammates are here in bathroom and pushing down the defender who's holding on to the Astro stairs.
Valve is really starting to get pinched now as he just narrowly escapes. Cameraman instead will turn around, grab the down. He's drawn for the shotgun. Doing the engagement, only time will tell. He's going to aggressively push on through the barbed wire. Semi gives him away, but he's looking happy enough to peek round anyway. Deal a ton of damage in toward Bullet. Bodega laid prone. He is going to be successful. Souls, you've got to land your shots, my friend. The final 3 kills do come in. Souls securing that final kill. FaZe, they respond. They pick up their first round of attack. This is where it starts to get dangerous, Gio, because MIBR, they have been on a bit of a resurgence. They've managed to pick up a couple of rounds in a row, but we can't forget the fact that FaZe, they're 1 round away from match point, 2 rounds away from closing out the whole game. This is where it really starts to get a bit dangerous for MIBR.
MIBR have decided to go back to the same site, Tropheus and Estatuus, which sounds a bit like trophy and statuary, so that's how you know it's legit.
Only a little bit, but yeah.
A bit. I'm sure it does more in the actual Brazilian Portuguese accent. But regardless, they're going back to the same site, which suggests that they feel that there was something that they could have done better, and they know how to execute on that immediately. But there's also that risk that you run. You know, we just lost this site. As soon as FaZe Clan realized that we're going back here, well, they could, in theory, just repeat what they just did. Now, obviously, there's more nuance to it than that, but it's just to give you an idea of what the 2 sides of that coin are. I don't think FaZe Clan have changed their operator lineup.
No, FaZe are really rocking with this sort of new Vogue lineup that it's kind of a bit of old sprinkled in with a little bit of new. We've got the Lion, we've got a Twitch, which is, I think, a great operator to bring if you're going to start to bring a Flores and try and play around those drones a little bit more, because you're going to be able to deal with any sort of mute jammers or any obstacles that come along in your way a little bit more effectively, albeit not perfect. The main reason you're going to bring Twitch, honestly, it's going to be for the smokes and it's going to be for the F2. Flores being brought as well, so it's kind of a typical FaZe Clan lineup where they still do like to bring the Lion, and it's something we've seen them bring quite a lot of late.
All of these ADSs are down here with Foles, who we saw get pinched and pushed up on quite aggressively in the last round. That will maybe help him stand steady and still where he is, but, you know, they could also just be shot straight off of the wall. So you got to see how that one's going to go. This is kind of aggressive posturing from Raps. I'm wondering if he's going to keep going, because he's found himself caught out in engagements one too many times. You don't want to get yourself caught off too early, especially when FaZe kind of going to be so aggressive. It's Bodega who ends up getting killed, and there are those ADSs as well.
Oh, Boo Boo got a Bobo.
Honestly, I nearly said Boo Boo.
Boo Boo got a Bobo, and he got himself taken on down. Throwing Souls, really making MIBR sting here. Nice shots from Redux. Be able to take down cameraman Luke as well, joining into the action. Some super nice stuff here from the final 2 players on the side of MIBR, and they've done something to get themselves into a 2 versus 2, make it a 2 versus 1. This is not a round that they should come away with, certainly based off the way that it started. Astro, he knows that somebody is inside of Trophy, but he's only got intel onto one of these players. You can already see a bit of a crossfire being established. Redux, he steps up, back to back with Lukin, and they're able to come away with a huge round here for MIBR.
So it hypothesized about when you go back to a round that you just lost, is it because you feel confident, or is the risk of the attacking team taking it 2 times in a row too much? Well, in that case, the answer was MIBR had their beat together, right? So, I mean, they hit some nutty shots in that round as well. It's almost like something switched on in them, and they were like, yeah, absolutely not today, Satan. That was a really good round for them, and great. And they are now ever closer to evening things out once again, which is not something that they have achieved so far in this game. But getting into the 1-round deficit zone puts pressure on FaZe Clan. But MIBR are going to be going to Kitchen for the first time on their defense. And once again, you enter into this situation where it's like a new place, a new defense to pull out, something new to face up against. And I think so far for MIBR, it's been a bit difficult. It's been touch and go. Doesn't mean it's not going to work out. And maybe, as this game has been going on, they've simply been understanding and reading into FaZe more and more.
See, see if MIBR can make a pattern of that. Readout currently 13 and 7. Almost double positive. I get the feeling that there's a chance for that to really start to run away as well if he continues to play in the same vein as we've seen him do previously. I like the addition of the Frost here. I think it just gives FaZe something extra to worry about. You know, you often see players, when they know that a Frost is in play, every single time they hop through a window or walk up a stairs or anything like that, there's just something in the back of the mind that's going, just tap fire one bullet on the floor as you hop through the window, and it just takes you out of that crosshair placement and takes you out of where you really need to be for a fraction of a second, and often can be enough to throw somebody off and take a little bit of advantage. See if it comes to anything here. Lukid, lucky to be alive, my friend, as Astro is going to be firing over onto main stairs. Flying scan comes on through, but no one too concerned just yet.
This is MIBR's opportunity to have that really steadfast main stairs defense, right? Because that's what they struggled with so much against FaZe Clan. And I know it's for a different site, but they've still got Lukid over there holding onto it really strong. And they don't want FaZe Clan to be able to move through the bottom of the entire map. And you can see big rotations coming out here from FaZe Clan as well. They have plenty of time to be making the rotation too. Souls is already up in closet, so trying to hold on to the north side of the top of this map. Reduct a couple of attempts to get rid of the drone, but finally got there.
We're going to be trying to make use of Flores drones, but it isn't really going to matter all too much. Souls is going to be able to find the frag over onto Reduct. Floor control now largely being gained. Cyber can't find the vertical kills. Look at how does he just stroll on in? I honestly thought he was an attacker. You're going to be able to find the kill before getting taken on out by Astro. Still an advantage here for FaZe, a 4 versus 3. What about that for a rotation?
I wonder how much that took him by surprise, just as much as it took Cyber by surprise. He probably wasn't expecting him to be right there. Bodega knows that someone is above him somewhere, but he's awaiting the information for the rest of his team and probably not going to rush out of the position that he's currently in. We're getting to about half a minute remaining, and FaZe Clan need to make the push in. You can see Astro was checking for the pog mats, but Bodega's getting ready. He knows someone's coming in through the door, but Astro wins the 1 versus 1 out. 2 versus 4 at this point puts FaZe Clan in a mighty advantage, but Raps is going to make that a 2 versus 3.
Fouls and Raps have an opportunity here, especially if Raps keeps hitting his shots. Eventually will be shut on down. Fouls, oh, it doesn't look like very kind recoil from where I'm sitting, but will eventually find the kill onto Soul. Just got to try and keep himself alive. Goes for the pre-fire. Unfortunately for him, will lose on out. Cameraman there, able to pre-fire his way on through. FaZe, what seems like finally get themselves onto that match point.
You know what's kind of funny about the entirety of this game is not once has a diffuser been planted.
No.
This is not an objective game. This is it's a revenge game.
I think it's a little bit of revenge. We saw Bodega, he attempted the diffuser a couple of times, but it was by no means a regular thing. In often cases, ended up getting him killed, but it's certainly not something FaZe are concerned with.
They're not phased.
Still funny.
By the way, I googled the pepper inside a pepper thing. I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life. It's kind of, are they different colors?
Oh, it's Gio, we'll have to have a chat after the show about the pepper inside a pepper.
I can hear the smile in your voice. You sound so happy.
It was honestly, it's a whole nother ball game.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Is it like where you get a double yolked egg?
Yes, exactly that.
Right. I get it. I get it.
See?
Yeah. Well,
now we just got to convert you to start eating peppers and you'll be there.
No, peppers are disgusting.
Honestly, you're losing fans by the minute here on this broadcast saying that.
Hey, look. If I don't like peppers, it means I'm leaving more peppers for the people who like
That's
peppers.
True. That's also true.
Exactly. So, anyway, FaZe Clan. Match point. Ponto Decisivo. They didn't win their push onto ABG back in round 7. MIBR successfully defended it. It was a round where FaZe Clan were trying to be exceptionally disruptive towards MIBR. They've kept on with the same attacking lineup the whole way through, so I can't imagine things will have changed too much in terms of their approach there, but they weren't successful in doing that in round 7. I do wonder as well how they're going to split themselves in terms of the north-south pushes. They have seen the mirror window over towards Master, but they're also preparing for a push through Study. I mean, Astro is on the Study window looking over to top main as we speak.
Redux, a player that we've seen do a lot of damage from this position inside of Astronomy. See what he's capable of here. MIBR are likely going to play this a little bit more tentatively based on what is going to be at stake. A couple of the E1Ds already coming out shows that FaZe don't really want to take any chances here, and they'd like to try and get it sewn up as soon as possible. Which does make sense because given the chance, MIBR are a team that is more than capable of striking back. Vega there just getting baited out by the Gemini somewhat, as Bullet is going to try and get Flores drawn into position, but Vega has to get himself out of dodge. He's going to lose position, but not much else. Doesn't get hit by any damage. Instead, can continually place his magnets and try and keep himself alive. Ooh, that nade isn't great, though.
Yeah, brutal as well, because there were 2 ADSs at the top of the stairs, so those had just straight up been... Oh, no, they haven't. They're still there. So it just wasn't covering Bodega's position. That's really frustrating if you're them. FaZe Clan, 4 versus 4 at this point, forcing that player out of Vault. It looks like they're looking to open up Vault here. I did see a ping, and you can see Souls getting ready with the blowtorch, sending in the nade just to clear out anything that may be behind. Want to open that one up, but still the players from MIBR are getting very prepared for this. Rap sending over the C4, but it doesn't find anybody.
A line of sight really inside of that vault wall as well, so certainly no access, just something for cameraman to try and work with as he is on the 90 window repel. So realistically, it's still going to be a single doorway push that we're looking at here. We have around 30 seconds left to go. Utility going to start to come in now from Astro. He's got a couple of smoke grenades on the Twitch he can try and make use of. The players continually get chipped down. Lukid going to be doing some significant damage. Is he able to find 3 kills? Why is everybody just pushing Lukid? The diffuse is cold on the ground. This one's said and done. Poor old cameraman in the clutch situation. Finds one, but can't even confirm. Fouls, swings with the shotgun. MIBR hanging for one more round.
Yeah, the Kings of AVG, apparently, holding on to it. FaZe Clan, not quite in the overtime situation. So they have one more chance to take this game in regulation. If it did go to overtime, that would be MIBR's first BR6 overtime. Crazy.
They're a team that win or lose, it really isn't.
They're just waiting to see if they can, if everything's all good. Okay, I guess we're going straight into the game. Yeah, there's apparently an issue with the current patch where sometimes players will lose mouse control. But it looks as if they've been resolved. So Falls is back in it, and maybe he can help lead his team into overtime.
Quite possibly. I think it's something that happened a little bit over on the NAL as well, so certainly not a issue that is specific to LATAM, but glad to see that we've got everybody back in and we can finally bring our 4th game to a conclusion. See exactly how FaZe want to try and approach this. They've had enough time to think about what they would like to do. The site was locked in way back when. Obviously, due to it being a issue that started after the round had started, I would imagine that the sides have to remain the same, and I'm not seeing any significant changes in operator. I know that we had a 6-pick on the side of MIBR during the pause, and I'm sure that's going to just have been allowed to have flown on through. So things looking fairly standard here as FaZe do choose to approach this quite carefully, but Bullet doesn't know his luck. Finds Raps in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a really nice kill. Certainly commend that one. FaZe is going to have to drop off a bit because he's out on his own. One of the other things you have to bear in mind as well is because they did enter into the lobby before we were back into the game, they may have been aware of the 6 picks that both of these teams made. So on the side of FaZe, that was Maverick to Hibana. On the side of MIBR, it was, I think, Warden to Ella. So those picks may not have been so secret to the enemy team.
FaZe with the initial advantage now, as they did get that opening kill over onto Raps. He's left to try and man these default cameras. Redux in a bit of a dangerous position downstairs in the basement. Not sure if he's been accounted for yet. It's quite the flat approach, really, from FaZe. They're looking to push their way on through. They have kind of gone for a little bit of top floor control, but didn't seem to have opened up any significant lines of sight. At least FaZe is happy to play inside of the middle of sight, pretty much undeterred. Position to continue to do so. Flores drones coming on in now as well, trying to gather out a little bit of that info. The impression it's going to be quite bloody here as we enter the final 35 seconds. A swing in from cameraman. Not going to result in all too much. Instead, it's Cyber and Astro to find most of the frags. As the plant is going down, and oh dear, looks as though it could be a flawless. FaZe have very well indeed planned what they wanted to do inside of that break. They finally take it before it slips away to an overtime. A map that they started very dominantly indeed ends in a similar fashion. A flawless round for FaZe there to close things out on Villa.
We speculated about what they may be talking about as a team. Well, looking at the player cams and seeing they weren't talking about anything, looking perfectly relaxed. And FaZe show that, yeah, they didn't need to discuss much. They just run, gun, and put MIBR in the dirt, apparently. 7-5 victory for them. A game that turned out to be more competitive than it looked at the start. But either way, FaZe Clan show that they are still on top here in Brazil.
Absolutely. Wasn't necessarily the most orthodox